What's up, guys? I've been wanting to do this one for a while now. I wanted to do a part 2 of the location ideas for Saints Row 5. And before we get going here, I just want to address the fact that I know that technically the end of Saints Row 4 makes it so that the earth is blown up and all this stuff, so this location stuff is kind of pointless. But you know what? Me, as well as a ton of other fans, were kind of taking it into our minds that either Volition is going to take the time to go and retcon that ending, or maybe use like the time machine or time travel or whatever, or they're going to just ignore it and go with like a prequel or something else. So when we're talking about these locations, we're talking as if the Earth is still the Earth, and either they address the Saints Row 4 ending and go back, and not to like a new planet or something, but like they find a way where, you know, Stillwater or Vegas or something can exist, or they just completely ignore it. So it's going to be one of those two things, and that's kind of what we're going to do in this video too with our location ideas. You guys really seem to like the first one, and I liked making it, and honestly, this is probably the most fun thing to speculate about for Saints Row 5, and the most important. I mean, let's be honest. The map can make or break the entire game. You can either have a Stillwater or a steelport, you know, like it can make or break the game. So it's really important, and let's get into your guys' ideas. If you haven't seen part 1, I highly recommend you check it out, because if you haven't seen a popular one in this one, it's probably in part 1, so go check that out. Alright, the first one I saw is a mix of two cities, the most popular being Vegas and Stillwater. Now, I brought up Las Vegas in the last one because you've got a really cool casino-like bright light city, and then you've got awesome desert countryside outside of it. But you guys said that Steelport was quite a casino-like city, so why don't you have like the grittiness of Stillwater, which is largely based on like Detroit and Southside Chicago, and you can have some Vegas casino-like elements and a desert. Now, this idea as a whole, I love it, where you mix two cities together where you can bring in some different elements. That's honestly probably the best thing they can do, is mix two really fun places together instead of just picking one. Like if you just pick, I don't know, say Los Angeles, you're kind of stuck with just that. But you know what? If they're going to go with fictional places like Stillwater, Steelport, not real cities, then they should definitely be able to mix a bunch of different stuff together, like have like San Francisco or LA type beaches, but also maybe a Vegas-like city, you know, mixing stuff together like that. I don't see any issue with that, and honestly, dude, that would be pretty sick. Next up, super interesting, we get to go back to Stillwater and Steelport. So you can fly between them. I don't know, fast travel, or maybe even just in person. You grab a helicopter, you can go from Stillwater to Steelport. They don't really need to be geographically accurate, you know? I mean, we're not going to care if Stillwater and Steelport are right beside each other. As long as we get to visit both of them, like nobody's going to be like, oh, that's unrealistic. You know what, man? If we get to visit both cities, that's all that matters, because it's like double the fun. And I know Steelport is not a great place. It was not a great map to begin with, but if we have Stillwater and Steelport, remastered Steelport and Stillwater, of course, I think the fans will be happy, including me. I would love that. That's honestly a super sick idea, and I am all for it. Next up, props to you guys, because all of these cities are super interesting and awesome places to be. So great ideas, guys. A Tokyo or American-like Tokyo. Again, you don't need to be geographically accurate. It doesn't need to be a spot-on recreation of a certain city. You know, you can take some liberties there. So if they do like an Americanized kind of version of Tokyo, or non-Americanized, I'd be down for that too. That would be a really sick change of pace for the franchise, especially if they want to give it some fresh new blood and just kind of pump it with some freshness. Dude, Tokyo would be a great place for the franchise to go, and all the different new mini games. And I even saw somebody who compared it to like Yakuza, how they could bring in some Yakuza-like elements, not make it like Yakuza, but the same type of revitalization that Yakuza has. So they can definitely take some stuff from there. And you know what? Some people might look at Tokyo and be like, what the fuck? No way, man. But I look at that and I see some potential there. I really do think that if Volition does it right, that could be honestly a fan favorite location up there with Stillwater. But again, you guys really won my heart over with the mixing of a couple different cities. That's honestly probably the best way to go. Next up, Miami. Oh, some of you guys want to beat Rockstar to the punch. Do Miami before they can redo Vice City. Oh, it'll take some balls if Volition does this one. Because, you know what, the rumor out of GTA 6 is that it's going to include Vice City. So you'd be going toe-to-toe with Rockstar. You know what, we can make just as good of a Miami as you can. So you know what, I'd be cool with this one, but it would definitely be risky because, you know what, Volition should and kind of has been avoiding having to compete with GTA 6. But if they do this, even if it comes out a few years in advance, the comparisons are going to be endless. Like Saints Row and GTA already get compared like crazy, but if you throw in the same location, dude, they're going to be compared until the end of time, man. It's going to be endless. So, you know what? If they do Miami, it's going to take some balls competing with GTA 5 and GTA 6. But, you know what? I'm ready for it. If they can do a good job, which I know they can, as long as they follow the type of realism and detail and fun stuff they did in Stillwater and not in Steelport, they can apply that to any city. And honestly, it would be pretty damn fun. Next up, we got two popular ones that I saw, Memphis and Atlanta. Now, Memphis is not that big of a city. Like, I know it's a decently sized American city, but it's not big like on the scale of New York, Chicago, LA, that type of thing. So the fact that so many people said Memphis kind of surprised me and blew me away. So there must be something about this place that you guys really like. And okay, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I know pretty much anything about Memphis. I know almost nothing about it, but I'm intrigued. Like, let me know in the comments if any of you, thought about Memphis or even post Memphis in the comments. Let me know why you think Memphis would be a great choice, because I don't know much about it, but if you guys can elaborate and convince me, I'd love to hear it. So why Memphis? And Atlanta, this one I think is genius. I would love that. But again, I'm swayed by mixing a couple cities. So if you could do Atlanta and then maybe give us either another location or throw in some different things to do or some spices from, Vegas or another city like that, that would be great. So I hope they don't only do Atlanta, especially on next gen, man. I really think the open world genre is going to move more and more towards multiple locations. I think one city is not enough. And yeah, that could be dangerous because maybe having 3 cities that are lifeless would suck compared to like one Stillwater where it's full of life. But if they can do it right, which means doing 2 or 3 locations with a bunch of detail, awesome NPCs and things to do, places to visit, I think that's the way to go, and that's where most open world games are going to go, including GTA 6. I don't want to guarantee it, but I'm almost sure that GTA 6 is going to have us go to multiple locations. So if Saints Row does go this route, I'm down for it, man. Bring it on. And lastly, I think this one's super interesting. I've said that about every damn location you guys have done because they're all great places to go in the end. San Francisco and Oakland. Because you've got San Francisco where it's light, it's bright, a full house. You think of all these shows and things like that where you could go and have a good time out in the sun and the bridge and everything, the Golden Gate. But then once you hit Oakland, Oakland's a pretty gangster town, gritty, in the vein of like hood culture, Chicago and Detroit. Like, you could have the best of both worlds right there. Kind of like San Andreas, Los Santos. You got Grove Street. And how it's very much gangster culture over there. We've also got Hollywood, and you've got Beverly Hills and stuff there. So that kind of mix, I think, would be great. And again, multiple locations, Oakland and San Fran. That would be a great idea, in my opinion. So thank you. All right, guys, that's it for me. Thank you so much for all these amazing location ideas. It's going to be really interesting to see which one Deep Silver and Volition, which one they pick. But honestly, any of the ones I mentioned here, I'd be happy with, as long as they do it right, obviously. But Saints Row 5, the possibilities are plentiful, you know what? So there is no excuse for them to pick a crappy location or to just do another stupid Steelport. I really think that they're not going to drop the ball here, and they're going to pick something really cool and awesome that's going to last a few years for us to have a ton of fun in. So I'll see you guys next time.